Brother, are you all right?
No, I am not all right. I just shared a bottle of Kanar with Damar. That rhymes.
You're drunk.
Of course I'm drunk.
You know, kinda in the forefront of some things.
You know, the Ferengi were quite ahead of their time when you really look at it. Granted, that entire series was ahead of its time when you really look at it. And, you know, who doesn't need a drunken Ferengi in their life? That could be interesting. Just imagine the sage words of wisdoms you would get from a drunken quark.
How many of them will just be repeating shit from the rules of acquisition?
Oh, easily half of it. But the rules of acquisition have actually shown to kind of make sense in certain instances. It all depends on the type of society you're trying to maintain.
Well, the type and the application of them.
Well,
Just as some other holy book that's made for profit nowadays. It's one of those things where the way that you apply it really matters. Is it work?
No, it was actually the receipt of the PayPal transfer.
Ah.
So, triple receipts. Gotta love it. Triple entry bookkeeping. So fucking annoying. It's almost like it all is tied together in some way. Almost like a grand... Oh god, what the fuck was it that Nog called it? The grand material...
Continuity?
Yes.
Wait, what's that?
Well,
yeah, that was Nog.
Yeah, it was Nog, because it was when he was doing all those trades to get parts for the ship.
Bolts.
Oh, and that. Oh, he did. You know, for being a Ferengi that didn't want to be in business, Nog really did have the lobes for it.
He did. But at the same time, he really got to the point of really nailing it once he stopped trying to be just Ferengi. When he started trying to be himself instead of just following Ferenginism in general.
Well, it was like his father, Rom. Rom was actually a good engineer. He didn't know how to monetize it to actually profit off of it like a good Ferengi would, but he was a damn good maintainer. Nonetheless, he was not a typical Ferengi, but it didn't stop him. Granted, had they not been on the station, I don't think it would have played out that way. I think they would have been miserable and definitely unproductive.
Like the father?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, for as much as they mentioned how father was the failure, and it really was Moogie who kept the family going. Guess that just goes to show it's not just all about which gender and which reproductive organs the person has and when it comes to mental acuity. But there was...
It's also about the lobes.
Yes. And, you know, it's interesting how you can actually go back and find instances of this sort of subtle political commentary. And yet it works. It actually gets you to think about things, and you can actually use it as an analysis of our culture today. And yet it's not preachy. Latest versions. Yeah, it does come down to good writing. Latest versions of Trek have been severely lacking in that. Every major story point that they have is political preaching pandering and trying to bash people that disagree with him upside the head. But then we have the Orville, which will be back with new episodes in just about a week. And I can't wait.
It's going to be some good shit.
It is, because... yes, Nikki, you know what? Hey, give me 1 second. Because this was directly from the thumbnail. Not last week, but the week before, we decided to start watching the Orville as a lead up to when the show started. Go again. Where the hell there you are. Nope, that's not what I wanted to paste there. I wanted to paste that there. Okay, so we got that one there. Let me go here. Get this. Copy that. There we go. Now we got it. So, we were watching the Orville to get ready for the new episodes to start airing. And in the first couple of episodes of the first damn season, it felt like good old school, proper, golden era Star Trek, where you're getting political commentary, you're getting social commentary, you're getting doses of humor, which granted, it's Seth MacFarlane. A good bit of the humor is childish, but when you compare it to his other series, a good bit of the humor is actually mature, is actually not just dick and fart jokes.
Right?
And then we get to the episode where Bortus and Clyden have their child.
The egg has hatched.
That was a fun episode.
It really was, but it was also a great episode that made you think. That actually got you to think about other issues that are going on in our own world today, right now, fucking still, how many years later? And yet they were addressing it and looking at it from multiple sides without being preachy. Without trying to tell you, no, this is how you have to think. This is how you have to respond in this situation. And if you don't respond this way in this situation, well, you're just a horrible, pitiful excuse for a living creature.
And at the end of it, there's no clear winner. There's no clear loser.
It's almost like Seth MacFarlane knows how to cover shit like that without being preachy about it.
Yeah, but one thing that entire episode does, which is really fucking lacking today otherwise, where in the episode does it tell you what you should think by either being preachy or by denigrating the other side to the audience?
You had a bit of it on an individual level. Because while it was their culture to do the gender reassignment surgeries, or corrective surgery as they put it, Claire, being a medical professional, said, oh, hell no. No, I am not doing this. No, I am not doing this to a perfectly healthy child, regardless of the societal norms of your people.
But here's the thing. She did it from a human standpoint.
Yes. And that's what I was getting to is, but she was very much in her point of view looking at it that there's no reason to. It obviously happened. It's part of a natural occurrence. Why is this a problem? And that's when you start looking at the societal effects and how the society that they are in directly influences how they interact with each other and decisions that are made. And that reveal at the end, the reveal at the end of the episode, even though they went through with the surgery, what most people would have seen as what should have been a nail in the coffin of the argument ended up only subtly affecting a few people. But Bortus was one of them. Although, granted, Bortus was predisposed to it because John and Malloy decided to show him Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
But it worked, though.
Yeah, kinda.
I mean, the lesson and the way Bortus reacted to it, and just how dumbfounded those two were that, wait, this is the movie that got it to sink in? Wait. This movie is the one that worked. But that's part of the genius of the writing of it. It was unexpected, but it wasn't completely implausible either.
But look at it like this. Bortus he's very, I call him stoic. He's very pragmatic when it comes to these things. When it comes to these kinds of matters. Him looking at this, you almost had to show it to him from a practical standpoint that this is the potential outcome. This is potentially what could happen. Instead of just trying to go for the argument itself. He's the kind of person who would go for actually being shown this is what could potentially be.
Yeah, and it's just the method of it. Like, the straw that broke the camel's back on it, to me, was funny. Because of the unexpected nature of it. But another bit of it that stemming from it, as was pointed out, the crew didn't win.
Nope.
You're not going to sway everyone that you come across when you have these sorts of disagreements and conflicts. Sometimes you can give the best presentation, you can give the best argument, you can make your point so it is beyond painfully clear the disparity and why you hold the stance in the position that you do. Even when you do that, it doesn't guarantee you're going to sway the other the other party. And rather than dwell on it and lose their goddamn fucking minds about it, they just accept that the decision was made against them and moved on to make the best of the situation that they had for them.
And to be fair, Jared, it was a good setup for what happened later on. It really was.
Because, well, that I was getting into that where it was intentional, where it set up character development and character conflict between Bortus and Clyden that plays out over the next few episodes, and it all stems from this event, which is very real, which is very expected in actual life. You don't go through something like that and just, yeah, I lost, it sucks, we'll move on. No. Shit like that lingers. And it takes a lot to actually deal with it, to address it, to come to grips with it, and ultimately accept it. I would contend that if anyone has that big of a decision levied against them, and they're okay with it immediately, that person's a sociopath.
Yeah, we've seen those kinds of things in some shows lately, though. And to be fair, the people in those shows do tend to seem a bit off the normal scale when it comes to human interaction in general. I'm not saying that they're sociopathic and stuff like that, because I don't have the grades, etc., in order to actually claim that. But I will say that they're fucking sick in the head.
Yeah, there is something wrong there if you're able to just be okay with it. Like,
in some shows, for example, we have a captain who's denigrating the entire fucking, well, male part of the crew, sees them as essentially, well, worthless, to their fucking face. Yeah.
My, whatever show could you be referring to?
I don't know. I tend to repress the memories of most of that shit. No, but even then, we can see the way that this plays out with how, despite everything there, they still have to respect borders of issues, even though they try to change them. They're not forcing him. They're not ordering him. They're trying to show him different viewpoints.
Yeah, and even when they were able to ultimately convince and sway Bortus, you still had Clyden to deal with. You still had the actual governing body of their home planet and home system to deal with. So even though they were able to convince one, the same didn't work for the others. Even when they found their most celebrated philosophical writer of their entire history, who was still alive, when they found that person and brought them to the proceedings and showed them that the person that they looked to and revered for their philosophy was a female, you started to sway a couple others, but it was still a very tough pill to swallow. And you get that when you have generations, hundreds of generations, thousands of generations of a society that has maintained throughout. You're not going to change that in a day. You're not going to change that just in one instance. You can start the ball of change rolling, but it's not going to change in a day. And I think that was one of the wonderful things that they captured there, is that they started the change. They started to open the eyes of some others. But it's going to be a long process for their society in totality to make that swing, to make that change, to begin accepting, hey, we're no longer a single gender species.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
And the ability to have patience in your storytelling like that is something that a lot of places, a lot of franchises, and a lot of writers can't embrace. And there is an economic side to that. I get it. You're not going to get the investment from a studio if all your stories have these longer playouts that have to take place. You kind of need to have that short form, more rudimentary storytelling where you have a conflict, you have the climax, and you have a conclusion. Not necessarily resolution, but a conclusion to what's going on. And you got to make it in a palatable form, be it movie format or episodic TV. You need to keep the story moving. And that really is a problem with a lot of Trek lately, is by going to solely long-form, season-long story arcs, you get a fuck ton of boring episodes with barely anything actually going on. because the writers suck.
Kind of like how Dragon Ball Z was back in the day, except they had an excuse.
Yeah, there was formatting issues there and translation bits.
But if we want to take something that we don't even have, well, anything close to that in other shows today, Clyden, in why he is so fucking adamant to go through with a sex change for the child. Because he used to be a woman.
Well, and the fact that Clyden didn't even find out until the first posting.
Later.
Yeah, he was already an adult, already in a committed relationship with Bortus, and it was that first posting together during that initial medical screening that it was even found out. And you kind of got to feel for Bortus too, because like I can understand why Clyden hit it, because Clyden's got to deal with it. Clyden's got to come to grips with it from a mental and emotional standpoint, let alone let Bortus know about it. But in the just getting into the psychology of it, just getting into that, why do people make the decisions that they do aspect of the character analysis here, the dynamic between those two stemming from this and even a little bit before is just phenomenal, and was arguably, in my opinion, one of the best parts about season 1 of the Orville is that they not only dared to go there, but they actually handled it really fucking well.
Well, it really just shows, if you want to go this far with it, you have two black actors. Or, well, if you really want to go into it, one black actress, but actor. And no one dislikes them due to that, despite all the fucking claims that, oh yeah, but people don't like people of colour. Yeah, no, that doesn't really fucking matter. They are two just a cursory glance gay. Well, actually, they are homosexual if you want to go that route with it. They are they're very brash. They're very obtuse. It's in the personality to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still so fucking easy to love them. Because Borders has his own personality. He isn't just a 2D fucking rock. And Clyden is, well, a loving husband. And he's got more going for him than what you see at the beginning of it. It's not just a side character that happens to pop in with cookies at times. It's someone who's actually an integral part to the relationship. And no one, as far as I know, dislikes them. Despite all these things that have been claimed that other characters are. Oh yeah, but you don't like this character because it's black. You don't like this character because it's gay. You don't like this because whatever the fuck.
Insert reason X. No, we don't like those characters because they're shittily fucking written and horribly fucking portrayed.
Yeah. Usually.
Which is why now, where we have Clyden, where we have Borders, where the both of them are really well written, where both of them show that they have the strong points, they have the weak points, but it's something where it isn't pushed on you. It isn't just fucking jammed down your throat. It's not on the nose. These are characters that you need to actually get to know before you start understanding them.
I mean, even the dynamic between captain and the first officer, but blanking on their names right now. Yeah, it's been a long fucking week. The dynamic between between
Ed and Kelly.
Ed and Kelly, the dynamic between them and how that is handled and progresses. And even early on, where what was it, the episode where they were taken to the zoo, another great bit of writing there that we'll get into side bit. But them being put into the situation that even with that, they still, throughout all of it, they notice that, yes, they still care for each other, but even Ed is the one that says, no, there's this professional barrier. We're going to keep it professional. Yes, I care about you and all of this, but we're not going there. And they get close a couple times, but they don't. The ground rule is set. The healthy boundary is set and maintained.
And to be fair, they are horrible for each other. They do care about each other, but Jesus Christ, they are a horrible match.
Could still make it work. Could still make it work though, and that's the thing is, it just goes to show, for any relationship to last, for any romantic relationship to last long term, both parties have to work at it. Both parties have to be invested in it in a similar fashion, and actually put in the effort to make it work. Otherwise, it's not going to. Yes, there are going to be times where there's issues and fights and arguments, and you're not always going to like the person. But you got to work through it together. Not against each other, together. And that's what makes it work long term. But the better part of that episode, this was before before Bortus and Clyden had the egg hatch. So Bortus is on leave because he is quite literally egg sitting. Ed and Kelly get abducted and sent to the zoo, but before they left, the ranking officer, by billet, not rank, by billet, the ranking officer left aboard on duty was the security chief, a young female lieutenant.
Very young female lieutenant.
And holy crap, was she in over her head. And she failed. She failed at different levels and in different ways. But in the end, she learned from it, and they were able to track down and rescue Ed and Kelly. But what show, what writer, what director would have the balls to show a female character fail miserably in that way?
Can't think of any.
Not many today.
No, I don't see anyone having the balls to actually display a female character in a leadership position in that sort of vulnerable and overwhelmed, incapable way. Granted, wonderful opportunity for character development and actually set up the character for even further development going forward. But the last time I saw a female character being handled in that sort of way was an animated show.
Which one?
An animated show where the female character they introduced was hated at the beginning from the audience, and they knew it. And they planned for it. And they developed the character from that. Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars.
Yeah, I can see that.
But looking at it from that too, we have another episode later on in the series. What's it called? Fire something. Firewall? I can't remember the name of the episode now. Those who watch the series know which one it is. It is a later show where the same security officer finds out that she has a bit of a phobia towards fire. She blames herself for one of her crewmates dying due to her not getting there in time. Despite everyone else telling her, oh no, but it's fine, it's not your fault, you couldn't have done anything. She keeps blaming herself. And she keeps blaming herself until she tries to pull everything that she can in order to initialize a test, essentially trying to get rid of her own phobia by subjecting herself to everything that comes up, to everyone on the crew's phobia. Oh, well, everyone who's in on it. And she goes through this. She's scared shitless throughout the entirety of it. One bad thing after the other happens until we get to a point where we see that, yeah, she's essentially just running in a holodeck. She's in a simulation. But she doesn't know. To her, all of these things have been real. To her, her friends have already died. She's already failed several times because she hasn't been strong enough. She hasn't been fast enough. She hasn't taken the initiative. But she's been forced to keep going. She has to go out or get out of this situation, if nothing else, for her own sake. And she's doing this having overridden, well, essentially the security lookouts that would otherwise be there, to where someone else could interrupt the program. She's putting herself in real danger by essentially straining herself to the point of almost failing physically. But she keeps going. She keeps going and going with this. And in the end, having actually been really vulnerable, still at that point not being quite sure what's going on, she managed to overcome not just her own phobia, but the phobia of others as well. She managed to grow by essentially, well, just jumping into the fire and hoping that she can make it. Had something happened there, had she not been strong enough, she would have died. I don't mean physically strong enough. I mean, had her mind not been able to take it, had her mind not been able to take it, she would not have survived it. She couldn't have aborted the program. No one could. It had to run to the end. It was really a trial by fire. She had to go through it. And afterwards, yeah, sure, she got some shit for it. But I can't say that anyone thought less of her. I don't think that anyone there saw it as her being weak. Even before, no one saw her as being weak. But then afterwards, having been subjected to everything that everyone could throw at her, including the fucking clown, she still came out on top.
Still
She
hate
managed.
clowns.
Yeah. No, she was put in this situation by her own actions, by her own wish to do something about it. She didn't shy away from it. She tried to actually better herself. Because she had a flaw. She had a weakness. She had something that could put her and her crewmates at risk later on. And she decided to even put her own life on the line in order to fix it. How often do you see that nowadays, where it isn't just something that's essentially, oh yeah, but, oh, I couldn't do it, no. Oh, but then I did it anyway because I'm strong, and I'm a strong female character that has no fucking character outside of, oh yeah, but look how strong I am.
Yeah,
Kind of Star Wars.
amongst other places. I mean, when the defining trait of your character is they're a strong, angry black woman You need to rethink your writing.
That goes for so many other characters too. Just look a few years back. Captain fucking Marvel. Oh yeah, but she's a strong character. Okay, so what she do? Oh, she beats people up. But what about the rest? What do you mean about the rest? She's strong. I mean, does she have anything else going for her?
The real tragedy with that one, especially the movie, the standalone, that origin story movie of hers, they actually had the material shot that displayed what they were saying about the character, that was actually showing the traits, was showing the development, but they cut it out. They, the rule, the leading rule about dealing with characters in writing for any media is show, don't tell. Don't just say a character is a certain way. Show them behaving in that way. Demonstrate the behavior, demonstrate the characteristics. Actually flesh out the character through their actions, their behaviors, through their thinking process, not just someone saying they're a particular way. And that movie ended up doing the exact opposite. Every scene that they had shot and started to edit that showed her being these things was cut. And it just goes back to the beginning of all this and the political preachy browbeating. Stop it. Do better. Actually write a compelling story first and then go from there. And that's the thing, is you need to be able to write good characters to tell a good story. You will be hard pressed to find a good story that is nothing but poorly written characters. Unless it's a comedy meant to be that way. That type of exception aside, you're not going to have a good story, let alone a watchable story, if all your characters suck.
Well, there's precedence with that because there's pandering. And a real famous one was Birds of Prey.
And yes, between Birds of Prey and the Kenobi series that has started airing, you kind of see why the studio tried to get out ahead of things and started preemptively tagging the critics as being racist or misogynist or sexist assholes instead of waiting for the actual criticism to come out once the show was released.
Yeah. I just got in watching Kenobi.
Having watched the first 2 episodes, though, they have so many good moments. But the issue is, there are so many bad moments too. It's like you had two different writers, one that's actually competent and knew what the fuck was going on. And then you have someone like fucking, what's his name? Feige. That cunt. You have those two, and they both write parts of the same fucking episodes. The first episode wasn't bad. There was some janky things, but overall, it wasn't completely shit. The second episode, though, when they started getting into more, this is our main character trying to interact with the other main character, it turned into a shit show. It showed Leia, as in a kid who's grown up in fucking Alderaan, in a political family, in a diplomatic family, which in the Star Wars universe means that if you fuck up, you're dead. She she was acting like a fucking toddler. Not to spoil too much of it,
Oh,
but Obi-Wan tries to save her, and for fucking, I can't remember, 10, 15 minutes, she's trying to call everything with him. Oh yeah, but you're not this, you're not that. How do I know that you're here to save me? I'm just going to say your name out loud. And she's just being a fucking brat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mind you.
that I had a little bit of issue with too.
I remember listening to a review of the first 2 episodes from from Heel versus Babyface, and the line that he said that stuck to me was, they managed to do the seemingly impossible. They made the character of Leia, what word did he use? Unlikable.
I can't disagree with it. That character is unlikable there.
And the worst part is it started out to be likable, and then it went, okay, well, yeah, fuck this kid.
Yeah, but that's really one of those parts where it feels like it's 2 different writers. Obi-Wan in the first episode was pretty good. In the second episode, he comes across as being a comedy character just from any 90s fucking comedy, where he's trying to chase a kid around. Actually, that applies more to the directors at that time. And now, no, he's trying to chase this fucking kid around in order to catch her, so that she doesn't, her get caught and get killed, and so that he doesn't get caught and killed,
Or worse.
Yeah. But the fucking kid is running around like a fucking moron. This is supposed to be a kid that's actually got some kind of experience in a diplomatic family. Which means that in these cases, she's got training in how to handle coups. She's got training in how to not be a fucking moron. And she's acting like she's got none of that. They could have told her, okay, stay close to him, stay silent, because that's what your character would do in that situation. And then you have someone else, like the other fucking kid that's there, who can pester them. Another kid that we don't know, we don't have a precedent for. And with that, if they'd just done that, they could have the same fucking dynamic. They could have someone else trying to pull Leia away. Have someone else be the distraction. Have someone else be the immature one. While the other 2 characters are actually doing their best at what they actually do. That is, well, in Obi-Wan's case, be inconspicuous. In Leia's case, don't get fucking caught and kidnapped again.
I wonder if the person who wrote those scenes or that episode or that portion of the episode, I wonder if they just saw the title of Princess to Leia and didn't know what it entailed in the universe.
It feels like it, yeah.
Because the behavior does seem to be your typical snot-nosed child princess, not someone being groomed for government leadership within the next 10 years.
And I feel like that is where they're doing themselves and Leia the largest disservice. They are treating it like this is just some random kid. Which is kind of like saying that Paul Atreides is just some teen boy. He isn't. He's been groomed from fucking birth to be not just a killing machine, but a fucking mentat. He is leaps and bounds beyond even other adults, and they just don't see it. Leia isn't just some random kid. And that is why it just feels like they've missed it. It feels like someone's watched it and then, or watched the original series and then, oh yeah, but she's probably like this. I mean, she's kind of snarky in episode 1, or not episode 1, episode 4. So therefore she must be like that as a kid too. It doesn't translate. It doesn't work. And going forward, I don't have huge hopes when it comes to the Kenobi show. The entirety of the Kenobi show feels like it's going to crash and burn either in the next episode or the one after it, when they start getting more and more into the Inquisitor.
And the Inquisitor that doesn't know the benefit of the long game and fear. I think that was one of the things that I found just painfully hilarious. You have these 3 Inquisitors, and one of them, the Grand Inquisitor, has figured it out, but is playing the long game to play with the psyche of the standard populace that is at the establishment that they're in. And the one who survives and ends up being the lead Inquisitor is the one that fucks it up.
But when they do it time and time again, with Inquisitor there, instead of just letting face, I can't remember the other Inquisitor, the one that's most likely going to turn later, instead of taking her, or rather instead of not doing anything, and then afterwards just addressing the situation, dealing with it, he stops her. When Kenobi is there, when they're at the fucking cusp of catching him, a Jedi fucking master at that. Why? It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Because you have to write certain characters in certain ways to keep the political narrative going.
It fucking seems like it. Which I wouldn't mind having more proper fucking underhanded characters. I wouldn't mind having a Garak. Someone who lets everyone else do the dirty work if, you know, if there are other people to do the dirty work, and then who swoops in, kills the last person, and takes the fucking credit. Because that's the easiest way to do it. He would do it himself, or he doesn't have to.
Not just the easiest. Arguably, it's the most effective. If you can get someone else to have the culpability of something, especially if you're trying to do something more clandestine, you don't want to be the one doing everything yourself, because you're not going to stay secretive that long by doing it that way. You need to have that insulation. You need to have that separation. But people who know how to write a good story and actually aren't full of fucking shit know that. And this is where to think the writing was getting better for so long. And it's a shame to think that on average, on the aggregate, creative writing from media for entertainment peaked 10, 15 years ago. And we've been in a decline since.
I, for the most part, agree.
Can you think of anything that hasn't just been an outlier that's been good in the last, 15 years.
Outlier, no, but a couple reboots or continuations of series that have changed some stuff up. Yeah, there's a couple I can name, but that's personal picks.
Because overall, what series have we had in the last 20 years that have given us a Garrick?
The closest series that started with good writing, that was entirely original, was actually Suits, the lawyer-based drama. The first few seasons of that show were actually really fucking well written. But that was also 10 years ago. But in the last couple of years, even shows that started off well written and entertaining fell off a cliff.
Star Wars.
Well, not just Star Wars. Look at Game of Thrones.
I never watched Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, while it deviated quite a bit from the books in the number of storylines that they were actually following and a number of the details, the first 5 seasons were actually quite good. But that's because the story, the plot, and a lot of the dialogue was already written for them by George R.R. Martin. After that point, they had essentially caught up to the books that Martin had released, so they had to start writing their own stuff based off of the cliff notes of the path that Martin had already told them. This is the route I'm going. This is who ultimately wins. So the last couple seasons sucked.
Yeah, I got a series to actually add to this. The Expanse.
That's still an outlier.
Last 2 Jurassic World movies have been pretty damn good. The third one is looking to be even better.
Are they good or actually good?
I like them. I really like them.
Are they good? Well, the question there is, are they good because everything around them sucks? Or are they standalone in a vacuum good? And
I think they're standalone in a vacuum.
yeah,
Again, personal opinion.
Well,
but
and that's the thing is, when it comes to the gauging of entertainment and its quality, it's still subjective. Even though there are viewership and ticket sales numbers for movies and TV shows and everything, it is still supremely subjective to the audience that's actually watching it. Because if you don't have audience retention, that is the only objective measure that you could come up with for a show not actually being good, is that you have 0 retention. But even the shit that's being put out today has the dumb fucking masses supporting it because of the message.
We have to spread the message.
You know, the first few times that I heard Critical Drinker say that, I thought he was being more hyperbolic, but then I started paying attention to the people who actually have been vocally supportive of Discovery and Picard and a number of these other projects that have been out that is just pure political pandering and posturing. and call it the greatest thing because, oh my god, they're finally doing X. But then you can show at least half a dozen other instances where the franchise they're talking about has already done that same exact fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just, okay, let's take an example here. How do we deal with, say, sexism in a movie? In a movie specifically, I'm not talking about TV shows. How do we deal with it? Do we, A, try to put in more female characters, try to make it so that they have more prominent roles, although those roles are actually just for show? They don't have anything else to say, nothing to do. They're just shallow fucking characters.
At
Or
that
do you
at that
go?
point at that point you're feeding into it because you're making the representation just part of the set dressing, which is just as bad as denying the person to be there in the first place.
Yep. We can also choose option B. Don't try to just put women in there for the sake of having women there. Put women in there that are actually good for the story. Women that are strong in their own right. Women that have their own shit going for them. As an example, Arrival.
Yeah.
Because I would say that Arrival was actually a really good movie when it came to portraying a strong female lead. You have whatever the fucking name is, I can't remember. But you have her. And she has to go through all this shit. And we get all these glimpses of her kid. And then when we actually get to the end of it, she's starting to realize more and more what she can do. Essentially, what she has to do. And realizing that she chose to go through with a future that she knew. Having a daughter, knowing full and well that her daughter would die before her 20th birthday from cancer. Going through all the moments, going through all of that, not hiding away from it, but celebrating it because it actually did happen, because at the moment it was something worth celebrating. I don't think that there's a lot of people who would actually be willing to take or to make that choice, knowing full well what's going to happen, knowing that you're going to have this kid, knowing that the kid is going to die horribly, and still being willing to go through it as if they didn't know. Even causing the fucking split between her and her husband.
Yeah, it's one of those where some some people often try to play the whole, well, if I knew it was going to play out this way, I would do things different. But there are times when you have to look at the bigger picture and realize that that's the wrong choice. Yes, it will suck. Yes, it will hurt. But there is a bigger picture. There's a bigger story than just me to be addressed here. And that's where that character went, was it, even knowing what was likely to happen, there was still that little slimmer of hope that it wouldn't, but there was also that comfort knowing that in the long run, it'll be okay. Yes, it'll hurt. Yes, it will be trying. Yes, it'll be taxing. Yes, it will be difficult. But it's not worth losing those good moments leading up to the end. I think that's the biggest thing, is you can have regrets. You can look back and wish that you had done certain things different. But there's a balance. There's a trade-off. Because if you were to change the situation to where you negate the bad memories, you negate the bad things that did happen or that are to happen, you run the extreme risk of getting rid of the opposite side. You run the risk of getting rid of the good side of things, too. Is that sacrifice worth it? I don't
It
think
just
so.
turns stagnant.
Yeah. It ends up being a very cold, boring, and lonely existence when you do that.
I got a question
Actually,
for Cal. I got a question for Cal in the chat, real quick. Which one? And I'm a serious question because you got in the prequels a strong, independent, leading character. In the normal ones, you have a strong, independent, leading character. In the third one, you have a Mary Sue.
But was portrayed as a strong, independent leading character. And that's the joke, is they're constantly doing this. They're constantly saying it. And this is where I look at the audience and go, why do you believe them anymore? Why do you still believe them?
with this stuff though, and just going back to the stagnancy, being willing to do it despite knowing that things can actually go to shit. We can go back to a certain Alara game, and her actually finding out that sometimes to be a leader, you have to do something. Because anything is better than nothing when it comes to taking action in those cases. You have to be willing to go forward. You have to be willing to take initiative. You have to be willing to take the risks. Even if it's something where you might get bitten, even if it's something where you might fail, you still have to be willing to go forward.
Yeah.
If people want to say that, oh yeah, but those aren't really female strong characters because they're just being portrayed that way. Let's take just a last example for that. Rookie in Dread.
Yes.
Because that's something where a lot of people just see her essentially as window dressing or see her as, oh yeah, but she's just there to show how badass Dread is. But Rookie has a lot of growth in the first movie. Can't even remember her name, but, well, she is the Rookie, so Rookie. But she has a lot of growth. She goes from being very insecure, really, in her role, not really wanting to call the shots, not really feeling like that she's mature enough in her role as a judge to actually take on the banner or the mantle of being a judge. After that, at the end of the movie, she's at the point of having found self-confidence. She's confident in herself. She's confident in her abilities. She's confident in her actions, her calls. And at that point, she's a way stronger character than she was when going into the movie. And that's also a strong female character, even though some people don't want to see it.
Well, no, I saw it because, and even then, you could see the progression and growth. It wasn't just from one scene to the next with her either. There were steps. It was a progression throughout the movie, which made it much more natural and progressive in that once she resigned to, well, this is my only day as a judge, I've already failed because this happened, so kind of said, fuck it, let's get through the situation and survive. Once she came to that realization and she could be herself and actually go utilize her training even, well, properly and entirely at that point, that's what showed Dredd that, no, she's a pass. Once that lesson was taken hold of and she was able to function in that situation, that was the moment that the real character progress took off. And then finding out about that special mutation of hers, the trait, and the way she used it on that guy.
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, I don't remember his name either, but he is one of the senior lieutenants of the Mama's gang, and she made him literally piss himself.
Well, that's just what made it so much better. Seeing this whole going from, oh yeah, but I don't really want to do this because I'm afraid I'll break the rules. I don't want to do that or do that because what if I fail? To, okay, yeah, no, fuck it, I'm gonna get out of here, I'm going to deal with this the best way I can. And going from being quite good at shit to being really fucking good at shit. Being confident in herself. And even something like the scene where she effectively rescues Dredd from being shot. And he knew that he could trust her. He knew at that point, or rather, he didn't really have much of a choice, but he could trust her to understand what she needed to do. She needed to get into position. He gave her the opportunity to get into position to where she could take the other guy out. That was something where she started realizing that she could do this. She realized that she realized that he trusted her. And then just finishing everything off, she saw the way that some things needed to be done. Taking Mama, giving her the fucking slow-mo, which maybe was a bit over the top, but then again, considering the judge or the justice of Dredd there and everything like that, I think that might have been a personal touch. And then just, well, throwing her to the fucking ground. That movie is a masterpiece in so many ways. And with people saying that, oh yeah, but you can't do that with a female character. Oh, Anderson, that's the name, yeah. Oh yeah, but you can't do that with a female character. You can't do this, you can't do whatever the fuck. Why not? She's a strong character. She's not strong because she goes out and beats everyone up. I'd say one of the most badass things that she did was just sitting there while the other fucking guy grabbed her gun and blew his hand off. It's still something where it's a portrayal of a character.
And I have to agree with Davros there. What sucks is the lack of a sequel. And it's not from a lack of trying from Carl Urban either.
I would have to say too, Carl Urban is a great fucking actor. I can't think of anything I've seen in him where he hasn't been good at it. And he's been in a lot of shit.
Well, even when you look at some of the roles that he's done, let's take Dredd and his portrayal of Bones in the JJ verse movies. It works. He pays homage to the characters and yet adds his own bit to it without it being over the top. He actually, the main word that comes to mind for me in his portrayals of characters that already have a legacy: respect. I have never seen him be disrespectful to a character that he's portrayed.
Not even when he was in Doom, or in, yeah, Doom.
Yeah. I guess you could say that he really is the consummate professional in that manner. And we need more of that. We need more people able to do that.
But with that, we also need writers who are able to deal with this shit. We need directors able to take the writer's vision and just put it out there as being, a good vision. What we have now, we have some people looking at this, and I don't know if it's the directors, if it's the writers, if you have other people just sitting above them and saying, "Oh, no, 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 fix that, do that." But it turns to shit. You have these things that could be good, and then you have writing decisions that just make them turn to shit.
I think it's a bit of all three. There are times it's the studio getting too involved. There are times it's the director just going off script because he thinks he knows better, or knows what'll work better for the story and screws it up, or doesn't know how to edit a movie to tell a coherent story. Looking at you, George Lucas. Or it could be the writing staff to begin with. It could be any one of the three, or it could be a combination of all three, depending on the project. But if you can deal with a slight underperformance from any one of the three with a good cast, just like you can be top notch and be on point, be on the fucking ball the entire time from the writer's room, directors, and studio, and be a little underwhelming on the casting, and yet it still be a good, watchable show. But if you drop the ball in any one of those areas, the project is not gonna it's not gonna be the success that the studio wants it to be. And that's part of why we're getting a lot of the regurgitated results we are now, because studios don't want to lose the money. They don't want to take the risk. But when they were taking the risk, that's when we were getting the better writing. That's when we were getting the better shows. That's when we were getting the better movies.
And even then, some failed. Some failed spectacularly. But many others actually came out on top. We got some really fucking good shit because they were actually willing to throw out shit or throw shit out there to see what stuck. Now it's more, oh yeah, but we know that shit sticks here, so we're going to throw all our shit here. It's going to be so oversaturated that it's going to be just boring at this point.
Like all the superhero movies and TV shows.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, or take the MCU. The MCU isn't necessarily a bad show universe. There are good movies in it. But at the same time, most of the movies have a weird relationship to what they're trying to convey with it. They're trying to go for action at the same time as comedy, at the same time as a romantic B plot, at the same time as this fucking other plot that makes no sense. They're trying to be everything at the same time, and they don't know how to balance it. You can have comedy in an action movie. You can have comedy in a drama movie. You can have comedy in any movie. But it has to be comedy in that movie and not vice versa. You can't have it so that every 90 seconds you have a joke pop up. You can't have...
That's why I like the Jurassic World. Because they have the action, but then they have an occasional comedic timing and a slight romantic interest thrown in there that actually fucking works. It's like you said, it's not every 90 fucking seconds that the shit's happening.
No, but even looking at that, one of the moments that I actually thought worked really well when it came to the comedy in the MCU stories or MCU movies is between what's his face, the antagonist of Doctor Strange, and Strange himself. Where
The
the
name.
antagonist, yes, because the antagonist asks him or says, Mr. Strange corrects him, Doctor.
Mr. Doctor?
But yeah, it's Strange. Maybe. Who are I to judge? It's just such a simple little thing. It wasn't in the middle of a fight. It's just one of those things where you can imagine this character just getting into it because it's something that kind of wags their mind. It's not necessarily something that's all fucking serious, which is such a nice little touch.
The biggest thing is it coming off as a natural thing. It coming off as an organic give and take. That's what really sold that. It wasn't just the play on words. It was also the delivery between the two actors and that repartee that goes with it. That's what really sold it, was that delivery on top of it being just that joke in how do you know you're talking to a doctor? Oh, don't worry, they'll tell you.
Yeah. It was just, it's a tiny little thing. And that's one of the most memorable things in the entire fucking, what is it now, 23 movies? Some shit like that. In however many fucking MCU movies have been released. And I think that had Black Widow been released as a comedy, just ramping up the comedy, taking these comedic moments and just running with them, that would have been a way better movie. The way it was instead was forced political bullshit. It was trying to push an agenda that doesn't really work. It was jokes that in most cases fell flat because they didn't follow through with them. And they didn't really know where to go with it. Having something like Black Widow, taking that entire movie, remaking it, and just have it so we have not a light-hearted view of Black Widow herself, but taking it so that we see this from another perspective, seeing it from the perspective of the family, where they see shit that she does, like the fucking superhero landing and all that, and make fun of it. They take the other shit that she does and just joke about it because to them it's funny. They don't see it the way that she does. I would have preferred that. Have it be silly. Let it be silly. Let it be something where Black Widow gets to the point of actually understanding you don't need to be serious all the time. You can have silly moments. You can actually have fun with your family.
That is one thing that I do have to agree with Florence Pugh's character in that movie, though. Natasha is a poser.
She is. But they could have run with it. Let's run with...
It's one of those things that you would think during the course of making that movie, someone would have had the idea, hey, this is turning into a comedy. Rather than trying to avoid it, let's just fucking turn into the swerve. Just turn into it and go with it.
I would have preferred it. I would have so much preferred that because that's something I think that MCU would actually need. A bit of a break from, oh yeah, it's this comedic thing, and then it's world ending, and then there's a bit of comedy, and whoops, half the people in the fucking galaxy or the universe died. All of those things, they needed that break. They needed the just straight up comedy, showing this character be just dour throughout most of it. Watch her be this serious, all up in her own bullshit character. and then slowly get used more to actually having a family, slowly getting used to you don't need to be that person around us. We know who you are. You can stop pretending, or you don't have to pretend. And actually having her come to a point where she can let down her guard. She doesn't have to be. She doesn't always have to be strong. She doesn't always have to be this character that everyone else sees as being strong.
You know what movie we should have gotten instead of that Black Widow movie?
Hmm?
A flashback to Budapest. Because for as much as they fucking referenced it, we've never seen it.
At least a flashback to it anyway. That would have been nice.
You know, you know what though? We're probably not gonna get it until it's the last movie that Jeremy Renner and Scarlett Johansson are in.
Maybe not. It would just be nice, given that they have so many movies, why not make one actually fucking serious? No off the cuff fucking jokes the way that they do in most of the movies. None of the oh yeah, but drama subplots that don't fucking lead anywhere. Just make it serious. Make it serious the same way that you remember when Quark and Nog were stuck on the fucking planet with the Federation people?
Mm.
Make it that type of serious. You don't know what the fuck's going to happen. And then have a comedy movie. Have it so that movies don't just blend together in some kind of fucking grey goop. Make it so that the movies are different. Thor Ragnarok was different. And I'd say that was actually a good movie. I think it's one of the stronger entries in the MCU.
Well, and part of it is you actually had growth. You actually had some realization from Thor, and also the fact that the purpose of Ragnarok, even in the mythology that it ultimately came from, the purpose of Ragnarok was not just an outright complete end to the world. Yes, it seemed like that's what was going to happen, but there was a rebirth after. There was continuation after. It wasn't the end of everything, it was just the end of an age, the end of an era. That's not anything to be afraid of.
But that would also mean that they would have to take it seriously. They need to take the rest of it seriously, as in, not make 100% serious movies, but they have to take the characters seriously in order to get that again. Which I have to say again, Carl Urban was good there too.
Yeah. And another aspect of it too, with that, when you look at going from Ragnarok to Love and Thunder, it's always interesting how the talk about objectification and sexism in the entertainment industry only ever goes one direction and not the other. Do people want to talk about objectification of women, and yet in the recent trailer for Love and Thunder, you see Thor being restrained and then all his clothes being blown off.
But it's fun if it's a dude.
Yeah, I just. I'm just tired of the hypocrisy of bullshit like that.
You know what I kind of miss in movies? Tits. And I don't mean it as in, oh yeah, we should have boobs in every movie. But you have so many movies now that are so fucking afraid of doing shit. They're so afraid of anyone hearing a swear word. I'm fucking sorry, but that's just part of the vocabulary. If you're afraid that people are hearing a swear word at the cinema, we have 50 other people at the fucking way there, or on the way there, who are all cussing out because they can't find this, or because they dropped their popcorn, or because whatever the fuck. What the fuck is wrong with you? If you have a kid reading a newspaper today, you'll see cussing. If you have a kid being in school today, you'll see cussing. Everywhere they're swearing. And we need something where we actually have an adult movie. And I don't mean adult themed as in, oh yeah, they have to be nude. I mean adult movie as in a movie that isn't catered so that it's visible to all fucking audiences.
Yeah, that's why they have the rating system and actually utilize it, people. But it is funny to see the disparity between what certain ratings are indicative of today versus 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And hell, even 40 years ago.
I just miss having movies that are actually made for adults. Where you don't need this break every half minute because people can't keep their attention on it. Let's take something like fucking 2001: A Space Odyssey. You had minute-long sequences. You had long just pans over things. It was slow. It was deliberately slow. But it's also a really fucking good movie.
Yep.
We need more shit like that. We need shit like... We need shit where they're able to, say for example, be able to swear. Whether it's nudity, not gratuitous nudity, but nudity in the cases where it would actually be... What's it called? Where it would be something that you expect nudity.
Relevant to the story.
Yeah, not just, oh yeah, we want to show off this actor or actress, so here they're going to be nude. No, not that. It has to be something that is natural to the story, natural to the context.
So
Or
what,
having it... Go on.
so what I hear you say is that you're a fan of the latest music video released by Rammstein.
I haven't seen it yet.
You need to. The title of the song is also very on the nose. And I know Thierry posted a link to it in the Discord server in the music room.
No, it's no Dick and Titten.
Yes, it is. That one.
Dick and Titten. It was just something where you have mature themes without it being gratuitous. But at the same time, actually, that's true, though, Terry. But not being gratuitous, but at the same time, not trying to hide it just to be able to get a lower rating. Because kids these days, and I'm not saying toddlers, I'm saying fucking 14 and older, have already fucking seen everything in regards to what could potentially be in those movies. The only thing you're trying to do is try to hide it just in case. And if you have a toddler and you bring them to a movie like that, I'm sorry, but you're fucking retarded.
Yeah, at that point, that's on you as the parent or the guardian. You gotta know better.
Well, it's like, so perfect example right now. I am going to watch Jurassic World Domination on July 10th. I even took the entire fucking day off so I could go watch it. Luckily, I'm glad I did because I want to go watch it in 3D. Problem with the darker nature of the newer Jurassic World movies versus what it was in Jurassic Park, which was still fairly dark, but Jurassic World's kind of took it to the next level. I am interested into seeing how many young children are there. Because I'm going to go about an hour early so I can get a seat I want and refreshments and all that shit and all that. And I can't wait. I can't wait.
I think the way to describe that would be too many.
Yeah, because from what I understand, if Fallen Kingdom was any recollection on how dark it's going to be, it might go even darker. I don't think any of the main characters are going to get off, but there's going to be some fucked up shit in this next movie.
Well, they started. I'll admit, I haven't seen the second one. I did see the first one. And in that, when you are genetically fucking with dinosaurs and bringing them to life, where do you expect it to go? It ain't gonna end up pretty.
Watch
In
the
reality,
second one. Watch the second one, and you'll understand the reason why I say it got a lot darker really quickly.
Well, that's with what they set up as a premise that generated the Indominus Rex. I would expect it to get that way.
Okay, take the Indominus Rex, mix more raptor DNA with it, and make it the size of a horse.
So a super raptor.
Literally a super raptor.
we still have to be honest with this, though. If the events of Jurassic Park or Jurassic World were to actually come to fruition in real life, we'd have most of fucking East Asia eating them.
Well,
You know that I'm right.
To be fair, this is a worldwide movie. So
Yeah,
it's
but
not
you
going to
know
be taking place in America. It's going to be taking place in other countries.
But this is something where this will happen. If we somewhere in the world today were to recreate the dinosaurs the way that they were 100 million years ago, they would end up on the fucking platters in a Chinese restaurant.
You're not wrong. They'd probably end up in the platters on an American restaurant too.
No, Korean street food.
All right.
Are you saying they've run out of
Hadrosaurus
dogs?
steaks, fuck off. Hadrosaurus steaks, fuck off. It would be an American food. All the other things would probably end up definitely. I'm sorry. The Mosasaurus would have been caught, netted, and fucking chopped up in Japan, okay?
Yeah.
Japan still does well.
Oh, but we only do it for scientific research. We just using byproduct for food.
No. That's what China does.
No, that's what
Shark
both
fin
of them do.
Shark fin soup. That's all you got to say.
It's just. There should be a series of movies dealing with what would actually happen with some scientific breakthroughs if they were to happen in reality. A type of mockumentary. Oh, yeah, here we have Jurassic World. They've managed to clone dinosaurs. Here we have a Triceratops. And here it is at a restaurant.
And no. Before it gets to the after it gets to the restaurant, guess what version you're gonna get afterwards? Well, here's the pygmy Triceratops that you can carry around in this specially designed combination carrying crate and handbag.
Oh no! Apparently, there's a really bad section in it where one of the companies that's making a comeback from the first movie, Biosyn, apparently created giant fucking locusts. And I'm not talking like 2 or 3 times the size. I'm talking a locust about the size of a small cat.
So you're saying it would just be one per serving?
Yes.
Yeah, the Chinese would be happy.
A lot of southeastern countries would be happy because a lot of them eat bugs, which I have no problem with. It's just
that's the thing is, you have 3 routes that end up happening from this sort of scientific discovery and propagation. You have your terrifying world enders that just kill everything. You have your fuckers that want to end up eating them. and then you have your boutique miniaturization as pets. And I could see all 3 of them happening at roughly the same time.
Hey, I'm all down for it. I would love to have a pet raptor, okay?
Actually, come to think of it, we kind of have a movie that goes into that too. Anyone remember District 9?
Yep.
And the fucking African warlord sitting in the shanty town?
Yeah. Oh, Nikki, if you really want a raptor as a pet, get a Belgian Malinois. It's a raptor with fur. Mouthy little fucking bastards. But they're smart too. That's the problem. I need to find that video again. Nothing like a pack of Malinois attacking a trainer because he refused to throw the ball while playing with them.
Mm-hmm.
that there is that other aspect to it too, Terry didn't think about. So first we had the swine flu, then we have monkeypox, then we have the Wu flu, and ultimately we're gonna get raptor leprosy.
It's fine as long as you keep warm.
Well, all right. To be fair, it would be like bird flu. We're just going to call it bird flu because of reasons that are scientifically more or less accurate. Where's Dapper when you need him?
You know, it would be interesting to get his take on it. Like, what would he see being the actual results if they were able to clone and reproduce dinosaurs?
I'll ask him later. I will.
I think he should do a video on it.
You know what? I'll actually talk to him about that. I'm going to be leaving here pretty soon anyway.
Yeah, well, it is about that time. And yes, sadly, Terry, yes. There would people be interested in doing the dino.
They would get up. They'd go to the door. They'd get on the floor. And everyone would do the dinosaur.
The question is,
You just had to, didn't you, Leon?
Yes.
Hold on. If you dress up as a dino, are you a furry?
No, that's a scaly.
Yeah, it would be. Well, wait, no. They might qualify as a furry, even though it's feathers. It depends on which type of dinosaur they dress up as.
Well, if you want to look at it that way, you still have chickens. But are chickens furry? Are they scaly? Or are they feathery?
Chickens are furry as chicks.
They are, well, no, they are still feathery. It's just down feathers. But when it comes to the kinkified classification, they still qualify as a furry.
Are you saying that they're down feathers because they're slow?
Terry,
Yes.
I agree. And the last movie is all animatronics, so they're done wrapping up. They're probably destroyed them, but I'm pretty sure you go talk to Stan Winston Studios, they might make one.
I don't know. Do we really want to poison a dinosaur by making it eat Kent Hovind?
Well, to be fair, it'd be animatronics, so.
No, fuck that. I would want it to be a real dinosaur eating them.
They mean an alligator?
That could work.
Komodo dragon. It would be more brutal.
I would just ask Reds.
No. We're trying to actually have the creature bite into him, not him melt like he's looking into the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, well, where does Reds live?
He is the closest out of the four of us.
He just has to go and get a pet.
Actually,
I can imagine
wait
Reds
a minute.
at the
Where does he live?
Down south.
Ken Owen, where does he live?
About an hour north of Pensacola.
Okay, yep, that's definitely closer.
No, because with that, I can imagine Reds being out in the middle of the fucking night with a flashlight and a fishing pole with a rope hanging onto it, going, "Hey, Dino, hey, Dino," trying to catch a fucking alligator.
All right, I can't. I'm done, guys.
All right, we'll catch you later. And yes, Thierry, I do have to agree. The dino would go to heaven for its service to mankind if it did that.
I'll catch you guys later.
Later.
Goodbye. I think that we need more mockumentaries in regards to how would things actually work if X universe was true. We do have Cloverfield,
True.
but we need more. We need shit in regards to, say, for example, Batman or the MCU universe. We need to have something where we actually see shit from the perspective of just a regular person, a person on the street.
That could be interesting, but we're back to square one. In order to have something like that come off good and watchable, you need to have a competent, intelligent writing staff. I don't know if that exists right now. At least not anyone who would do it. I mean, yes, some of the people who wrote and performed in This Is Spinal Tap are still around, and I think they could pull it off. I'm not sure if they would want to.
I can think of two people that could do it today if they had the rights to it. Taika Waititi and Sacha Baron Cohen.
Watiti has to be in the lead, though.
I don't see any issues with that.
Okay. Yeah, you put those two on it? Okay, yeah, I could see that happening.
No, because either one of those, imagine a show about, say, for example, the X-Men universe, or where shit's happening with the X-Men since the MCU doesn't really seem to want to touch them. But you take that shit.
They didn't have the rights to the X-Men until recently.
That's just a really big missed opportunity. But take something there. Take something where they actually have to deal with the shenanigans of the X-Men. Say that they live right next to the mansion. And you have all this shit going on at the mansion. And then you have it just in the life of, say, Taika Waititi being the producer, trying to direct the film crew. Yeah, do this, do that. And then you just see what's happening there. The shenanigans just, oh yeah, see, they're flying again. And Jesus fuck Christ, it's so loud. Can't they just keep it out? Everything like that. And you see this happening you follow this family or this person for a week. I could see that being a thing.
I could see that coming off really well as well, given that creative team. And see, that's the thing is, there is hope out there. There are bright spots of potential in the grander realm that is entertainment media. We just have to stop accepting the shit. We have to stop accepting the crap side of it.
And the companies need to stop being so fucking stuck up. There's so much that could be done. So many things that are just good fun that could easily be done with the properties if they just let it happen. Instead, if they let the fun shit go to stuff like Ghostbusters 2016, where they're trying to make comedy and it just sucks. It sucks so much ass.
Yeah, it's just. That's. I didn't even watch that movie because the promos just really did not make it look appealing.
I did the rest of it.
That's what I kept hearing. That's why I was like, okay, I'm glad I stayed away from it.
You need comedy when it comes to, or where it's actually made by people who are well versed in comedy. Just looking at something like The Naked Gun, those are comedy classics. And the comedy classics for the very reason that they are so unpredictable. They are so full of different things that you can watch the same movie 5 times and still see new shit happening.
Yes, there's a lot of subtleness to it too. And that's another hallmark of a good movie is not only is it watchable and enjoyable, you can watch it again. And when you watch it again, you notice something different. You notice something that you missed the first time. I'll admit, recently when we watched Naked Gun 33 and a third, I forgot about the subtle Beavis and Butthead reference after the test detonation of the bomb.
Well, subtle and subtle, I guess. Yeah. But you have these moments, you have so much shit going on both in the foreground and in the background. And sure, that's a genre of movies in and of itself, just with a Naked Gun. But it still shows what can be done. It shows that these things can actually be done. They can be put on screen. We have other comedies, we have other movies in general, where you have concepts that are a one-off essentially, and no one else wants to take them on. Why?
They're afraid.
Yeah, but other than that, sure, you have some people being scared, but at the same time, you have indie, indie filmmakers and shit like that, who have the ability to do this, who have everything they need in order to try to capitalize on it, but they don't.
Yeah, well, and even with the indie side of it, you still have the fact that most of your independent films end up being more avant-garde and more of that pseudo intellectual artsy style type of film. You they don't really delve into the comedy sector that much, which is sad. It's a missed opportunity. And how did I forget about it? Well, it could be the fact that the last time I watched the movie was about 20 years ago and every scene had some sort of gag. Like the whole suit shadow box retirement thing of J. Edgar Hoover having a fucking tutu.
Yep. There's just so much in them. It keeps happening.
Yeah, there's saturation and then there's overload. And the Naked Gun movies really flirted with the line between the two.
But they add, I can't remember, I think it's Red Letter Media who talked about this, where the director of the movies, or the first movie at least, went with the line, or the directors of the first movie went with the line of, there's always a joke happening in the foreground or in the background, but never both. There's always one thing to focus on. And I think it works.
Yeah.
I really think it works because they keep it away from being just what's it called? They keep it from being oversaturated. They make it so that it's just saturated enough. You know that you don't have to focus on everything in a scene all at once. You know that there's going to be something there. And you can look in the background, and in some scenes it's completely serious. 100% serious. Nothing funny happens there. Or in some cases, you look at the foreground, everything is serious there, but something completely fucking ridiculous is happening in the background. But it's never both. It's never that both the foreground and the background are serious, or that both are trying to do something funny. I think that's really where the balance in the Naked Gun movies really shines through. And we have the difference in the different characters. You have characters who are serious, but they're being interpreted by someone who's a fucking moron. Or you have a character that's a fucking moron, but they're being interpreted by someone who's serious.
I am serious and don't call me Shirley.
Yep. But even something there that's just such an off the cuff joke. Or we have some shit like how is it goes? The whole thing they called from the hospital. What is it? Well, there's a letter from the hospital. What is it? It's a big house with nurses.
But that's not important right now.
Yeah, but it's something you don't expect it. And that's why it works. It's something that's just... You can't imagine it. But it's something you'd never get in a proper conversation.
Well, it depends on who you're having the conversation with, because there are times that there are times where I will be that bit of a snarky asshole in a way. But I have learned time and place. There is a bit of temperance that has to happen. Not everyone is going to enjoy it.
And in many cases, people are too fucking stupid to get it.
Yeah, there's that bit too.
So that's something where you are really matters. For example, I'm in a region where people are very deadpan. And in many cases they are let's say, lacking in the comedic department, you have to tell them outright what's funny in order for them to understand what's funny. They're the kinds of people where you have to have an applause sign for them to understand that, yes, this is the good shit.
Is that why so many people have a problem with Arch?
I think partly yes. But this is something that's in my area. As in, this is here and say a radius of 30 kilometers around me. So it's really in this area. If you go further south, that isn't too much of an issue. If you go further north, it's still a bit of an issue, but not that much. It's here. And I don't understand why. And Cal, I wasn't born here. My parents moved to this area later on. So go fuck yourself. No, but the entire thing there, we have these kinds of people. You have some people who are really fucking funny, but it has to be to the proper audience, or the audience has to understand them. Let's take Norm MacDonald with his fuckery going on. He did so many things and made so many people laugh at shit like fucking 9/11. But they laughed because he had set it up with him being so fucking deadpan and then laughing at shit. And then when he said 9/11 and they started laughing too, he just got serious again and asked them what the fuck they're laughing at. It's a serious topic. It's nothing to be laughed at.
That is the thing with Norm MacDonald. He was one of those comedic geniuses that could just mess with you and be like, okay, where are you going? Where are you going? Oh, that's where you went. That's fucking hilarious. Wait, what?
Yeah, he just did not give a single fuck. He did it for his own sake. He did it to give himself a laugh. A consummate professional. And it's so rare. It's so fucking rare seeing someone like that. And seeing someone who, despite everything, isn't just an attention whore.
Yeah, I think that's why the person who seems to be taking his place in that regard afterwards now is Bill Burr.
I still think that... Go on.
Bill Burr has his moments where he's funny, but he does have an abrasive delivery for most of the stuff. But it's in that similar vein where he doesn't care. He's just going to tell it like he sees it.
But at the same time, have you seen the shit where he's talking to his wife?
Bill Burr? No. I'll admit, I haven't seen much of him other than his actual stand-up and interview appearances.
Because you see the other shit afterwards where he's talking to his wife and you see more of the other shit shining through. I don't think that he can take over anything from Norm MacDonald. I don't think that he has the same personality to be able to do so.
Well, yeah,
One thing that we have to remember too, Norm MacDonald went the last, 10 plus years of his life having cancer in various stages, suffering from that, literally suffering through fucking hell, and still doing his shit without trying to make everything about his cancer, without making it so that everyone can pity him because, oh yeah, it's so sad. It did all that. And it still recorded a fucking special to be released, well, after or in case of his death. And it's just, he was on a completely other level. He was on a level that I don't think that will get any time in our own lifetime anymore. He was on a level of not giving a single fuck that most people, they need drugs in order to just get there.
It looks like someone else is on some good drugs in the chat, too.
I thought that he was in rehab.
No. I'm below. Looking at Jay. Halo,
Oh, yeah, but
best
that's Jay.
sci-fi show ever. Wait, I mean, Kenobi just started. That could be even better. I mean,
for TV being so against sexual abuse and such like that, they're sure happy to rape Halo.
and be so proud of it, too. Oh, yes, we're making the show about this game. Well, oh, that's great. So, you guys are fans of the game? No, I've never played it. Not going to play it either.
Now, to my knowledge, there's only one person who's actually managed to do something good without having read the source material. And that's Paul Verhoeven. Starship Troopers.
Yeah. He definitely pulled something off with that one.
Because the movie isn't anything like the book. You have some of the names being similar, you have some half of the themes being similar,
But that's
overall, yeah, it's completely different outside of that. But it's still a good movie. It doesn't show off the book well, but it's still a good movie.
Well, with that, we definitely hit the time limit for tonight. So, for those wondering, yes, we're going later tonight because I felt like it, for one. And we have the anniversary this week. Yes, Monday, Memorial Day. That is when all of this started. It's been, or what? This is the end of the 3rd year of VTW. And got some stuff and things to go over. So tune in Monday for that. We are going to be going live Monday evening-ish, kinda, sorta, time frame. Not sure exactly what time as of yet, but we will be going live Monday evening Eastern Standard, Daylight Time. Yeah, we're in Daylight Time now, US, so keep an eye out. Go ahead, tune in, and you'll learn what's going on, because stuff and things are happening. So, we will see you all then.